Is there any way to improve egg or sperm quality?
Wow. Hmm. I was not ready for that one. Yeah, there is a way to improve sperm quality. Sperm quality can certainly be improved if just overall health is better. So it can take anywhere from 2 to 8 weeks for a sperm to be manufactured, and certainly sperm will be more mobile. It'll have more motility, more swimming ability, and there'll be more sperm if the overall health of the male is good. Looking at the second part of that question with the eggs, the answer, for the most part, the eggs themselves, no. At about 5 months of gestation, what I mean is at about 5 months of time that a female baby is developing in her mother's uterus, by 5 months of gestation or development in the uterus, she, the baby, has already got all the eggs she'll ever have for her entire life. And it's about 400,000 or so. And so when that baby girl is born, she already has all the eggs she'll have for her entire life. Some of those die throughout the period of her life, but as she has each menstrual cycle, one or the other of those eggs is released from one of the ovaries in order to potentially be fertilized. So in theory, the health of the eggs is pretty well established while the baby's developing, while in a woman while she was developing in her mother's uterus. And so we could move to the release of the eggs, and yes, overall health does improve the release of the eggs. Healthy women's ovaries will release the eggs on time, more easily, according to some kind of internal mechanism or message that goes between the ovaries. Normally, one ovary or the other will release an egg every 28 days. Of course, there are times when one ovary releases two or both ovaries release one. But overall health is gonna lead to those being successfully released on schedule according to the body's physiology. Now, I do want to address something because the person asked about quality of sperm, and really, when we talk about quality of sperm, we're talking about the sperm's ability to find the egg and then to fertilize the egg when it gets there. And one of the big pieces of that is just enough sperm, the high number of sperm, or an adequate number of sperm being in each ejaculate. So with each ejaculate, are there enough swimmers there and can they swim well enough to go and find the egg? And that's a long journey for them to make.
And isn't a lot of that based off of body temperature or temperature of the testicles and how they manufacture the sperm?
Yeah. Sperm are very picky. They want the temperature in their environment to be very specific. It has a thin bandwidth. It can't go too far up here, it can't go too far below here, or they'll die. So that's why the scrotal sac is the way it is. As a male's body temperature gets warmer, the muscles that hold the scrotal sac relax, and that pulls the sperm away from the body, enabling them to stay a certain temperature. So yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing is, when you said doesn't that depend on temperature, it depends on the temperature of the woman's body as well, but it depends on some other things. The environment, the acid-base balance of the female vaginal canal and the other tissues that the sperm has to travel through, it's either hospitable to the sperm or it's not hospitable to the sperm. And in fact, that has to do with how lubricated she is. So how ready for sex she is, how sort of warmed up she is, actually. And then another thing to add, sorry, there's so many things to talk about on this with regard to sperm motility. Another thing to add that I think is really interesting is that in studies where we have men imagine that their mates are being unfaithful, the number of their swimmer sperm goes down per ejaculate. And it's replaced by something called fighter sperm. And fighter sperm, there are two types. There is one type of fighter sperm that is sort of this big linebacker type of sperm, and when it's ejaculated into the vaginal canal, they just line up and form a line, and they form a blocking line. And the reason is that, again, going back to times when we may have had the ejaculate of more than one man in the vaginal canal at any given time, these sperm will form a line and not let the other man's sperm by. And then the second type of fighter sperm are killer sperm. And what they do is when they identify sperm from another man, they'll actually swim over to it and take it apart and kill it. So if you were to imagine that your partner was being unfaithful, then what happens is the swimmer concentration goes down and the fighter sperm concentration goes up. And we did find that finding with heterosexual and homosexual populations, so I find that really interesting, and I think you guys will too.
Well, Dr. S, it's been a pleasure as always, and again, to thank you to all of you viewers out there. Starting next week, we'll start to specialize the episodes to different topics in sex. So, do you have any last words to say?
No, I'm just really excited about that, and I think we're going to start out with orgasm, and then we'll also look at some sexually transmitted infections. So certainly, any questions, send along, but if you have those specifically, send them along our way.
Bye.